Hello everyone. So we are continuing with our unit 1A, that is atomic and molecular structure, and we are dealing with the Vesper theory. So in the last few lectures we have completed postulate 1 and postulate 2, and we have also explained the shape of various covalent molecules with the help of postulate 1 and postulate 2 of the Vesper theory. Now we are still within the Vesper theory, and we will see in this lecture or in this slide how the size of the central atom affects the bond angle of covalent molecules. So for this, let us consider the hydrides of 15th group elements and of the periodic table, and along with the bond angles. So this is the ammonia molecule, that means the hydride of nitrogen, and it is having a bond angle of 107 degrees. The hydride of phosphorus having a bond angle of 93.2 degrees. The hydride of arsenic having a bond angle of 92.1, and the hydride of antimony having a bond angle of 91.6. So what are we observing? That as we are going down the group, that is the 15th group, so that means as we are going down, we are finding that the central atom is changing, whereas the surrounding atoms are remaining the same. So what happens is that as we are going down the group, the hydrides of this 15th group elements, they are showing the decrease in the bond angle. Now similarly, we consider another set of examples. We consider the hydrides of the 16th group elements of the periodic table and the corresponding bond angles. So here we see that it is the hydride of oxygen, that is water molecule, the hydride of sulfur, hydrogen sulfide, and the hydride of the selenium, and we see that the bond angles are in this case are also decreasing. So that means as we are going down the group, the bond angle of the corresponding covalent molecules, they are decreasing. So what is the observation? That means we are seeing that as the size of the central atom is increasing, so that means as we are going down the group, the size of the central atom is increasing in both these cases. So that means as the size of the central atom is increasing, the bond angle is decreasing. So that means we are seeing a negative relationship between the size of the central atom and the bond angle. Now, this can be explained by the steric interaction between the surrounding groups. So, as the central atom is increasing in size, the bond length also increases. So, that means we are considering only the central atom here. So, as the size of the central atom is increasing, that means the bond length. Now, what is the bond length? The bond, that is the covalent bond between the nitrogen and the hydrogen. So, that means the NH bond, that as we are going, that is the NH bond, so or the pH bond, or the arsenic hydride bond, or the antimony hydride bond. So that means as the size of the central atom is increasing, the bond length also increases. So that means the hydride of antimony will be having a longer bond length as compared to the hydride of the nitrogen. So that means as the bond length is increasing, so that means the hydride of the antimony is having the longest bond length. So that means the hydrogen atoms will be farther apart from each other in this molecule as compared to this. This is because of the shorter bond length, and that correspondingly is because of the shorter size of the central atom, or the shorter size of the nitrogen. So that means the steric interaction between the surrounding groups will also consecutively decrease. So the bonded electron pairs, now since the steric interaction will decrease, that means the bonded electron pairs, that means the bond pair repulsion, that will also decrease. So that means the lone pair bond pair will be greater as compared to the bond pair, and hence we see a decrease in the bond angle. Now one thing is obvious in this thing, that because we are in the same group, so that means the valency of the central atom is the same. That means the VSEP will be the same. So that means the bond pair will be the same, and the lone pair will be same. So that means nitrogen, this ammonia molecule, it is having a single lone pair on the nitrogen. So that means this molecule will also have a single lone pair. So this molecule will also have a single lone pair, and this will also have a single lone pair. But in this case and this case, what is the difference between this and this is that because the antimony is having a bigger size, so the bond length between the sb and hydrogen atom will be longer. So that means these hydrogens will be farther away from each other. So that means the between the three hydrogen atoms there will be less steric interaction, or in fact the bond pair repulsion will be less in this antimony hydride. So that means because the lone pair bond pair is still existing, so that means the bond angle will be decreasing in the case of the antimony hydride. Now similar thing can be explained in this example. So water molecule, it is having a larger bond angle as compared to the selenium hydride. Now let us come how the size of the surrounding atom has an effect on the bond angle of the corresponding covalent molecule. Now let us consider this example. We are considering here the halides of phosphorus and the halides of arsenic. So let us consider the first example, that is the halides of the phosphorus. In this case we see that the central atom is phosphorus in all the three cases, but the surrounding atoms are different. So that means in the first example the surrounding atom is the fluorine, and the surrounding atom of the second molecule is chlorine, and the third one is the bromine. So in this case also we are finding the same thing. The central atom is arsenic and the surrounding atom is fluorine, chlorine and bromine. So that means we find that the size of the surrounding atom is different. So fluorine, it is having the smallest size, and bromine, it is having the largest size. So as we are increasing from left, as we are moving from left to right, we are finding that the size of the surrounding atom is increasing from fluorine to bromine, while the central atom is remaining the same. Now, in the first case it is phosphorus and in the second case it is arsenic. So what happens to the bond angle? So as the size of the surrounding atom is increasing, the bond angle also increases. So that means we are finding a direct relationship between the size of the surrounding atom and the bond angle. So this phenomenon can be explained by the steric effect again. So as the size of the surrounding atom is increasing, so what happens is that because of the bigger size, the bromine being a bigger size, so that what happens, there is steric interaction between the three bromine atoms. So that means there will be increased steric interaction between the three bromine atoms that are bound to the phosphorus atom. Whereas in the case of phosphorus trifluoride, fluorine atom being having a lesser size, the steric interaction between the three fluorine atoms will be less as compared to the three bromine atoms. So that means increased steric interaction between the surrounding groups will correspondingly have a larger bond angle between the three bond groups. So that means PBr bond and PBr bond, the bond angle between the corresponding two bond groups will be larger as compared to that in the case of the phosphorus trifluoride. Now, what has electronegativity of the surrounding atoms got to do with the bond angle? This is what we are going to explain in this particular slide. So by taking the example, this is the example, that is the halides of the phosphorus group. Here we are seeing that phosphorus triiodide is having a bond angle of 102, phosphorus tribromide is having a bond angle of 101.5, and phosphorus trichloride is having a bond angle of 100 degrees. So this can be explained both with respect to the electronegativity, and this can also be explained with respect to the size of the surrounding atom. So in the previous slide we have already explained that the size of the surrounding atom, what it has got to do with the bond angle. So that means there is a direct relationship between the size of the surrounding atom and the bond angle, and the reason we have explained in the previous slide. Now in this slide the same phenomenon can be explained by taking into the fact that the electronegativity of the surrounding atoms. Now what is electronegativity? Electronegativity is a concept which explains the tendency of the electrons to move towards the electronegative element. So that means the the atom or the group which is more electronegative, that has more tendency to pull the electron cloud towards itself. And what is the electron that is in question? That is the bonded electrons. So that means the electronegative element has a greater tendency to pull the bonded electron pairs towards itself. So let us consider this diagram here. These are two examples of covalent bonds. Here Y is more electronegative as compared to X. X is the central atom, and Y in the first example is more electronegative, and here in the second example Y is less electronegative. So that means the surrounding atom in the first case is more electronegative, whereas the surrounding atom in the second case is less electronegative. So the basic definition of electronegativity means that the more electronegative element will have a greater tendency to pull the electron cloud towards itself. So what is happening, that the bonded electron pairs around the central atom, that is X, that is moving towards the Y. So what happens, that there is a decrease in the repulsion between the bond pair around the central atom. So what will happen? This will cause a decrease in the bond angle between the groups. Whereas in the case of the second example, the Y is less electronegative. So that means what will happen, that since it is less electronegative, so the tendency to pull the bonded electron pairs towards itself will be less. So what happens, that there will be more repulsion of the bond pair around the central atom, resulting in a larger bond angle. So this is what we are seeing in this example. So that means here iodine, it is less electronegative as compared to chlorine, but chlorine being more electronegative, so the tendency to attract the electrons towards itself will increase. So that means the bond pair around the fluorine around the phosphorus atom, that will decrease. So this will result in a lesser or a smaller bond angle in the case of phosphorus trichloride, whereas in the case of phosphorus triiodide, it will result in a larger bond angle. So now let us come to the limitation of the VSEPR theory. So VSEPR theory, it fails for isoelectronic species. Now what are isoelectronic species? The species having the same number of valence electrons. So IF7 and TEF7 negative, they are two species having the same number of valence electrons, that is 56. So that means they are expected, as per the VSEPR theory, it is expected that both should have a pentagonal bipyramidal shape, but in actual it is not true. Now VSEPR theory also fails to explain the structure of transition metal compounds. Now in the case of SeCl62-, TeCl62- and BrF6-, now all these three, they are having 7 VSEPs. Now they are having 7 VSEPs, so it is expected that they should have followed the distorted octahedral shape, because in the case of XeF6, this is the XeF6, and this molecule is having 7 VSEPs, and out of the 7 VSEPs, the 6 are involved in bonding, whereas one is having a lone pair. But what is happening, out of the 7 VSEPs, 6 are involved in bonding. That means it is having 6 bond pairs and 1 lone pair, and it is having a distorted octahedral structure, and this is following the VSEPR theory. Whereas in the case of TCl62-, you can see that it is also having 7 VSEPs, and there are out of the 7 VSEPs, 6 are involved in bonding, whereas 1 is in an inert pair effect, but this is following a octahedral geometry. So same thing is happening in all these 3 molecules. They are all having a 7 VSEP, but out of the 7, only 6 are involved in bonding, and 1 is having an inert pair, but they are not obeying the VSEPR theory, and they are having an octahedral geometry. Now the third limitation is that it does not explain the shape of polar molecules like the Li2O and H2O, and they should have the same structure, but Li2O is linear while H2O is angular. It also does not explain, it fails to explain the shape of molecules or ions which are extensively having delocalized pi electrons. Like the VSEPR theory, it fails to explain the shape of benzene molecule. So this is all about your VSEPR theory. We have finished the VSEPR theory and hope you have understood the concepts, and this is the end. So I thanks for listening to me. Thank you.